Today's episode is brought to you by the Daily Gardener Friday newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org. Hi there, and welcome to The Daily Gardener, a podcast featuring garden history and literature. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is February 11th. Today in garden history, we see the birthday of Margaret Cavendish Bentinck, who was born on this day back in 1715. She was the Duchess of Portland, a British aristocrat, naturalist, plant lover, and botanist. Her family and friends just called her Maria. She and William Bentinck had 5 children, and one of their sons became the prime minister twice. When William died after their 27th anniversary, Maria threw herself into her passion, which was collecting. As the wealthiest woman in England, she cultivated an enormous collection of natural history, which was tended to by 2 experts that she hired to personally attend to each item: the naturalist Reverend John Lightfoot and the Swedish botanist Daniel Solander. And as you can imagine, there was so much activity at Maria's home that it was called the hive. Maria shared her collections with the public in her Portland Museum. And in 1800, Maria received a beautiful red rose from Italy that was dubbed the Portland Rose. Today, all Portland roses are descended from that original rose gift. And today in 1893, the territory of Oklahoma officially recognized mistletoe as the state flower. In fact, Oklahoma was the first state in the country to adopt a state flower. The decision was made 14 years before Oklahoma officially became a state. A symbol of Christmas, mistletoe grows throughout southern Oklahoma and can be found growing in the tops of hardwood trees. Since it can be challenging to reach it, mistletoe is often shot out of trees with a shotgun. But over the years, mistletoe became an increasingly controversial choice for the state. The tiny flowers are almost invisible to the naked eye, and mistletoe is actually a semi-parasitic subshrub. And so, after 111 years, Oklahoma made a new choice, and they selected the red Oklahoma rose, Rosa odorata, as its new state flower back in 2004. And it was on this day in 1896 that the Burlington Free Press in Vermont published an account of the winter meeting of the State Botanical Club. During the meeting, the Reverend J.A. Bates gave a presentation, and he began his speech by telling of a boy who wrote a paper titled "The Snakes of Ireland." The piece began, "There are no snakes in Ireland." And so, as the Reverend began to speak about his topic, botany in schools, he bluntly pointed out the obvious. Botany is not taught in schools. Now, keep in mind, this is back in 1896, well over a century ago, and Reverend Bates said this: "Only 1 in 40 students have studied botany." And then he attempted to explain why botany was not taught. And here's what he said. First, most of the teachers are poorly prepared for teaching botany. And second, botanists are conservative, and they conceal the charms of their study behind long Latin names. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, William Morris's Flowers by Rowan Bain. This book came out in 2019, and the author, Rowan Bain, is the senior curator at the William Morris Gallery. Born in 1834 to a wealthy family, William was the leading figure of the arts and crafts movement. William grew up on the edge of Epping Forest. He played and sketched in the family garden. At college, he became inspired by John Ruskin, and he also was blown away by the art and architecture of Northern Europe. William ditched the plan to pursue life as a clergyman, and he decided to pursue art. William sought to counter the smoke and grime of advancement, of industrialization, with his designs that celebrated the beauty of medieval times. A singular talent, William was collaborative, and he worked with artisans and craftsmen and people from many different trades. Today, his carpet, fabric, and wallpaper patterns remain aesthetically captivating, and the majority of his work is based on nature and gardens. Trees, plants, and flowers figure prominently into his designs and patterns. And so we come to this wonderful book where Rowan guides us through Morris's floral designs and his inspiration, which includes his own gardens at the Red House in Kent, 16th and 17th century herbals, illuminated medieval manuscripts, late medieval and Renaissance tapestries, and a range of decorated objects, including artifacts from the Islamic world. All of those things factored in to Morris's designs and work. This book is gorgeously illustrated with over 100 color illustrations, and it is sure to delight and inspire gardeners today. You can get a copy of William Morris's Flowers by Rowan Bain and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for around $15. Finally, today's Botanic Spark features Eliza Calvert Hall, who was born on this day in 1856. Eliza was an American author, a women's rights advocate, and a suffragist from Bowling Green, Kentucky. In her book, Aunt Jane of Kentucky, Eliza wrote these words: "Each of us has their own way of classifying humanity. To me, as a child, men and women fell naturally into two great divisions: those who had gardens and those who had only houses. The people who had gardens were happy Adams and Eves, walking in a golden mist of sunshine and showers, with green leaves and blue sky overhead, and blossoms springing at their feet, while those others, dispossessed of life's springs, summers, and autumns, appeared darkly entombed in shops and parlors, where the year might as well have been a perpetual winter." That's it for today's show. Just a reminder that you have a standing invitation to join the Facebook group for listeners of the show. The next time you're over at Facebook, just search for Daily Gardener Community, where you'd search for a friend and request to join. And if you'd like more of The Daily Gardener, you can subscribe to the newsletter over at thedailygardener.org, where you can also show your support for the show by donating to The Daily Gardener. This is Jennifer Ebling. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener. And remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.